Oh, we got injuries and the indignity of bad special teams going on at the Bucs right now. Where do you want to start? You want to start with the injuries?
Well, let's start with the injuries because you're playing hurt now. I mean,
Good
are you
Lord.
questionable this week for the podcast, or how's
I
this
would
going?
say doubtful, perhaps, before we get to Friday. I'm questionable now. I'm questioning why I'm doing this, to be honest with you. But yeah, I'm a little under the weather, as you can tell. That clothespin is not really on my nose. I'm actually talking this way. But nonetheless, I do it for you people, okay? So that you have something to listen to on your drive to work or the gym or wherever the hell you listen. But that's why we do it. So we'll start with the injuries with the Bucs, myself not included, and that is that I think the most dangerous one, or where they're getting affected the most, is Jamal Dean is out again. He's going to have an MRI. He's got a hip slash. Uh, I guess I don't know if it's a hamstring, but somewhere in that area. And Jamal's a guy that's missed 9 games in the last 2 years. Are we surprised? What the surprising thing is that they drafted a kid, Benjamin Morrison, to replace the said hurt guy, and he's been hurt. He was hurt in college, obviously, missed most of training camp with a hamstring. He did tweak his hamstring as well. Now, I'm told some good news on him. They don't think it's as serious as they did during the game. But if you're without those two corners, then you're really down to Zion McCollum. And my guess is they would take Jacob Parrish, who's been playing in the slot, move him outside, which he had to play at the end of the game yesterday. And if they're lucky, Christian Izien will be ready to play and then move him to the slot. And they would be okay. I mean, Parrish has played really well. Not a big guy, not the typical long guy that they like playing outside, but he's a baller. He can play anywhere. So that's probably how they would go. But then some help that maybe Morrison comes back. The other problematic thing would be Hasson Reddick has a concussion. Don't know if he's in the protocol, but that's one of those where, until he's cleared, he may not be able to practice and or play. And you certainly need, your leading edge rusher to show up. Let's see what else we got.
Isn't Bucky Irving injured?
Yeah, that was saving the best for last. Actually,
Okay.
No, you're fine. He's the one that people may be surprised because I believe he finished the game. I could be wrong about that. Now, I'm told after the game, I think it was Greg Allman told me that he was seen with a walking boot on his lower extremity, which usually is a foot or ankle injury, and you never want to see that on a running back, And Bucky's one of these guys, very prideful. He's not going to, jake anything. So, if you're without Bucky Irving, that changes things dramatically because now Rachaad White's your number one. Now, ironically, Rachaad White's best game came against Seattle. That was in Germany a few years back, and he played lights out in that game. Whether he could do that against this Seahawks team, which is really good against the run, I think they're like top 5 run defense, is another question. But they're going to have to run the football, and we can get into Seattle a little bit. But so, yeah, a lot of injuries. And then the other one that's probably the most serious, I believe, is Greg Gaines. And, of course, he's been playing for Kalijah Kancey in part, along with Elijah Roberts and some others. But Gaines suffered a pectoral injury, and as was with the case with Kalijah, anytime I hear pectoral, it rarely is one of those, I'll be back in a few weeks. It's usually season ending, to be honest with you. So we haven't heard about that. He was also going for an MRI. So they just keep continuing to pile up these injuries, and now seems to be attacking their secondary where they had depth, but obviously that gets eroded quickly if you start losing guys like Jamal and Morrison and so forth. So that will be an issue this week. And the other issue, of course, is special teams. And I kind of marvel at Todd Bowles' resilience to never address anything publicly that is just he's seething about. Like he is seething right now about the number of block kicks that they've had. They've had 2 block punts, a block field goal, and 2 of those went back for touchdowns. And of course, we saw how that game started yesterday. You lose by 5, but more importantly, you just spot the Super Bowl champion 7 points before anyone's in their seat. So it's not like you didn't see this coming. This is where, you can overthink these things a little bit. I remember in the off season, distinctly remember this. We asked Todd Bowles during the OTAs or mini camps sometime in there about what he was most impressed with, what he was thankful for. And he said, our punter, Riley Dixon, who in practice, the guy's banging him 60 yards because no one's rushing the guy full speed, right? Taking his good old time. And the thing is, he entered this season as the punter, the active punter with the most blocks in his career. He had like 7 or 8 blocks throughout his career, and already he's had 2. Now, that's not a coincidence. That's a guy who does not kick the ball quickly. That's a guy who's too slow to get off his foot. And if you think, the 2 blocks are bad, and I don't think this last one was really on him. And we can get into that in a minute. However, it's not a coincidence either. And so he has 2 and 16. You want to know what the rest of the league has in punt blocks? 2 and 472. 2 and 472.
Ouch.
Yeah. So what up with that, right? Like, this is the home of something's going wrong, really, really wrong. Okay. And then you go to the special teams coach, who I like. That's a dude. I mean, Thomas McGahee. He's awesome. Hung out with the dude. But right now he's got to be a little nervous too, because, when McGahee was with the New York Giants, they very often led the league in punt blocks. So what could go wrong? Special teams coach who gives up some punt blocks with his former team, and then you get the active punt block leader as your punter.
Sounds like a perfect match made in heaven.
Right? 2 crazy kids just,
Yeah.
longing for each other. and they finally came together, and now we have what we have. So credit to Greg Almond, who I hate to credit. No, he's a good friend of mine. The Bucs will be, according to my sources, the Buccaneers will be working out punters, bringing them in on Tuesday. Ryan Stonehouse, who led the NFL in punting in 22 and 23 with the Titans, and Brad Robbins, who was the Bengals punter in 2023, missed last year with a quad injury. He punted for the Bills in week 1. So if I had to guess, one of these dudes is going to be their punter on Sunday.
Can you try out special teams coaches as well? Can you bring someone in to try out? Or
I mean, maybe. I mean, look, there's obviously, what we have is a failure to communicate. There's something wrong. And when I say wrong, I mean schematically, personnel-wise. And it's not like, they're doing anything special, right, that you don't see. But they saw what Atlanta did, and it's a copycat league. And so, the idea, even since youth league, is, like we said the other day, you block down, you protect the A gap and make everyone blocks inside out, so that they have to come around the edges. That's where if someone's going to rush the kicker or the punter, he's got to go the long way, right? So they ran this little loop stunt in the middle, of the field over their long snapper, and they basically got a one-on-one, and he came through the A gap and blocked the kick. I don't know that Riley could have done much about that. It was weird because they're on a hash mark, but the snap is actually to the right of the hash mark. Now, he's a right-footed kicker, so that's not a problem unless you realize that there's more guys on that side. They had 5 players on that side they overloaded against 3 Bucs blockers. Now, they got 2 up-backs, and I guess one of the up-backs took the wrong person and didn't help the long snapper, so it ended up a block kick. We're in week 4. You've had OTAs, training camp, mini camp, preseason, right? And you could see this developing, through all those periods. But when they went live, then you saw it in real time. And now, they're on pace to have 12.75 kicks blocked this year. I mean, and about 8 return for touchdowns. It's unsustainable. But one of the things, and I am never been one to just call for people's jobs. I'm not going to do that. I don't feel like that's my role. I'll let John Romano do it or somebody else if he wants to. But the other thing is, even if you were inclined to say, someone will come to the boardroom and someone will be fired. Like, I want flesh, right? I want someone held accountable. Well, the problem with it is there's not just a lot of special teams coaches sitting on the couch right now. And you've pretty much installed this entire scheme, right, through all these off-season days. You're going to bring in a guy, from outside and think you can fix it in 1 week? it's not likely to happen. You got to kind of fix it now with whatever help you have. And I don't think you're going to just fire him and then turn it over to Keith Tandy, who's been the assistant special teams coach for a while, but he's never done this job, as the coordinator. So they're really up against it. So I think McGahee stays, and they'll get a new punter, but that's not going to fix the protection, man. Like he might get the ball off quicker, but if they're running through the A gap, that's not going to help anybody.
Well, but fixing the protection, in theory, is easier than fixing a slow punter.
That's true.
I mean, Riley Dixon's got to completely change what he does.
That's right.
Okay, so they blew the protection on the punt block.
Yep.
That's coachable, fixable. In theory. I mean, it's not to say they won't make a mistake again, but
yeah,
it's a lot easier to fix, okay, what do we need to do on this protection than Riley Dixon, you've got to get the punt off a second quicker. Because that changes everything he's done for years, basically. And I'm not saying kickers can't adjust, but it's usually not one you're adjusting in the middle of the season.
No.
It's going to be an off-season adjustment. Typically.
Right. He is who he is at this point in his career.
Yeah.
He's just a guy who, I'm sure it's not the first time he's been told, speed up the process, get the ball off your foot. You're taking too long. They all have stopwatches. They know how long he takes. And yet they signed him, and now they're living with it. Or in this case, it cost them a game. It could have and probably should have cost them two. Let's be honest. The Jets should have won that game. They should have won last week's game. Baker Mayfield, another great comeback, field goal at the end, all that stuff. He did it 3 times in 3 weeks. But that, plays like that, I don't know what the percentage is. I used to know. But if you get a special teams touchdown, I want to say you're in excess of damn near 90% win rate when you get a special teams touchdown.
It should be. It's not a high scoring league, so you get 7 points free like that.
It's a turnover with points, right? Yeah, you win the turnover battle, your odds are way, way high. Mm-hmm. But then you get a turnover with points.
Yeah. Pick six or scoop and scores are probably a similar clip percentage-wise.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how you lose in this league. You just can't, the operation has to be better. And I guess the disappointing thing is they had to have seen this coming. Like I said, you signed the guy with the most active punter with the most blocks. You have a coach who, coached the Giants, and they had the most blocks. And now you're having the most blocks. So buyer beware, but man, we need a Carfax on this thing. I don't understand how we got here, but we're here, and we'll see how they fix it. And apparently they're going to fix it with a new punter, which I would recommend. And it's not anything against Riley, because when he does get it off, he can launch it. He's a good punter, but good punters don't last if they get kicks blocked. And like I said, yesterday's or Sunday's was not on him, I don't think. Now, maybe if I had a stopwatch, they could show me that it was. But
I don't think it's on him, but perhaps if he got that punt off quicker, it wouldn't have been blocked.
It may not have been blocked.
I mean, that was a blown blocking assignment, no question about it.
Yeah. Evan Deckers gives up the A gap. He gets spun around.
Right.
Now he's got no help, and you should have help on both sides.
Right. But perhaps a punter who gets the ball off quicker would have still gotten it off.
He might have still gotten it off, yes.
Yeah. I'm not saying it would have, but perhaps.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. The other one they had blocked, the guy jumped over Deckers and kind of landed on, somebody's foot that wasn't shown. But nonetheless, they, you got to clean that up, man. Like those mistakes are
well,
tough.
The blocked field goal jumping over him. I mean, the way you're crouched down, there's nothing he could have done about that one.
Well, you're supposed to they teach you have to get really tall really fast. Like after you snap the ball, you just have to make contact with the guy. If somebody tries to leap over you, they literally are not allowed to touch any part of your body or anybody else's. And the replay shows that he kind of landed on the back of one of the guard's foots.
Yeah, they missed that.
They didn't see it. But as soon as you snap it, you want to stand up. Just if a guy's trying to leap over you, just to make contact. Because I talked to Deckers about it. He goes, yeah, I got to get big there. I got to get really tall. But it was a hell of a play. It was athletic as hell. Mm-hmm. But they should have lost that game. They should have lost that game. Baker bailed them out. And Baker nearly bailed them out yesterday. Despite spotting a great team, all those points. Man, the defense played so well in the second half. Like, I didn't realize, going back and kind of look at the numbers, like, Man, the Eagles got nothing the second half. 0. They stoned them. So that was a nice adjustment, whatever they did. Bulls really didn't get very detailed.
I think they made some adjustments. I also think Philly kind of shut it down.
A little bit. I think they felt like they wanted to run clock and try to run the football, which they couldn't do.
I think prematurely they shut it down a little bit.
Yeah. They weren't anticipating, 77-yard and a 72-yard quick strike by Baker Mayfield.
But good on the Bucs for taking advantage. If the team's going to shut it down or not.
Oh yeah.
Not keep attacking, that the Bucs took advantage and made it a game and had a shot.
Yeah. They had a really good shot. I went back and looked at that interception in the end zone. The ball was clearly tipped. I think I can see why Baker felt Godwin was open for a nanosecond. I mean, that was a scramble play like the other two big plays he had. This one, I would say, not as clean cut. First of all, Godwin had been targeted. Well, that was one of his targets, but he was targeted 10 times and only had 3 catches. So he wasn't himself, right? But then secondarily, there was bodies between him and Godwin when he flashed in the end zone. It was a broken play. I think the situation is what Baker has been so mindful of lately. And this was not 4th and 10. This was 1st and 10.
That's the part. It was first down. There's no need to even risk it.
You don't have to. This is not a running out of time situation. In fact, you got the ball back after that. But you need 1 score and a 2-point conversion. You're already there. You're at the 10-yard line. You're going to get 3 plays. So just when that one breaks down and you get a scramble drill, you get out of trouble. You don't take a sack, which is great. But that one, I think even Baker would say, having looked at it, like, yeah, maybe he was open for a second, but like there's bodies there, and it got tipped and intercepted. And even though they got the ball back, like that was a huge play. And it's probably the only bad decision he's made for some time. His first interception of the year. So you live with it and you move on. I mean, look, the Eagles are a good team. It's funny because the big narrative now throughout the NFL is what's wrong with the Eagles? This is a team that's won 20 out of their last 21 games. They can't get the ball to a wide receiver. They can't put teams away. The second half was terrible, and they're getting picked apart. It's kind of funny in a way, but that's the way fans are. They want to see you be perfect all the time, but it's not a perfect sport. So anyway, interesting goings on this week. We'll find out more about those injuries probably on Tuesday when the MRIs come out, or whenever Adam Schefter decides he wants to report them, I suppose. But hoping Jamel Dean can come back because he is in a contract year. He does not need to be missing more games. But that's why Benjamin Morrison is here, except you signed a guy who has a history of injuries to replace a guy with a history of injuries. So you hope that Ben can do it as well. Tough game against Seattle this week. I mean, you got to fly the farthest trip than, say, Miami would have. Was it 5+ hours, I would imagine. We don't know what time the game's going to be. There's going to be a change of time. That game was scheduled for around, I think, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Yep.
And now the Mariners are playing at around the same day, and they're trying to separate the two events there because the stadiums are right adjacent to each other. So we did see where the 49ers game, when they come home, got flexed to 4:25. Might see Tom Brady
October
again.
12th. Yeah, October 12th, 4:25. Is that? I think it's a CBS.
Oh, is it CBS?
Well,
Dang.
it was initially on CBS. I don't know if it flipped.
That probably is. You know what? It probably is. I forgot that.
Yep.
They used to have the networks. With CBS was the AFC and Fox was the NFC, but now they do some cross pollination there. So it may be CBS. Maybe.
Yeah, I believe originally it was a CBS game. So I'm
hello, friends.
Tony
Baker. Yeah, you just don't know. Man, I'm watching this gruesome injury, this dislocation of a knee by Tyreek Hill. The Jets lost again, in case you're a Jets fan out there.
Well, they're losing.
They're losing. There's
still
lose.
7 minutes to go in the fourth, but
yeah, but I think they're going to lose. Well, maybe.
By the way, speaking of injuries, did you see MetLife Stadium? Of course, the turf there. The amount of injuries, knees or Achilles injuries in the last 5 years.
And you sent me that list. I could not believe how long it was.
Just incredible how much. I can't believe that the Players Union isn't more upset about an outdoor stadium playing on turf.
Now, let me ask you this because I don't know the answer. There are two teams that play at that stadium, the Jets and the Giants.
That's true. There's more than
so when you
games.
combine them, are we getting a false flag a little bit because it's really two teams' injuries? I mean, if you took the Bucs injuries and combine them with another team, you go, what's up with all the injuries?
Yeah, but I mean, this is 15 Achilles tears or ACL tears, not injuries. I mean, these are season-ending injuries. These are
mostly and they're mostly a lot of non-contact stuff.
Yeah, and of course, the latest was Malik Neighbors.
Right, out for the year. Terrible. With a young talent like that to tear his ACL this early with a non-contact injury.
But why an outdoor stadium has turf? I know it's easier to maintain, particularly in the north when snow and whatever else, but still, man, we know that there's more injuries on turf than grass.
100%. That's why they won't practice in the indoor facility, even though it's 1,000 degrees. They do not want those guys on turf.
And a lot of these stadiums have brought in grass fields for the World Cup or events like that, and then they go back to turf for NFL. I mean, why is this okay in the NFL?
It's okay because the union is weak, and if I were, they made me the union chief executive director, I would say, guys, we're going to play on grass. I don't care if it's an indoor stadium or not. They do it in soccer. We're going to make these teams have real turf, not artificial. I don't want anybody losing their careers because they're on this stuff. But it's got to matter. They got to be willing, to go to the mat, so to speak, on these issues. And the fact is that you have 1,700 players, most of whom say, I'm not going to get hurt, or I've never been hurt, and they'd rather negotiate things like an 18th game or Thursday night football or whatever, would put more money in their pot, in their hands, and, not realize that they're jeopardizing their career on the other side. But they absolutely should do it. I mean, a league that has that much money, like I was driving around Steinbrenner High School, I believe now Eastlake, I'm not sure, but a lot of these high schools have all gone to artificial turf. And it looks terrific. It's like, whoa, artificial turf, this has to cost a lot of money. And it does, except when you factor in how much it costs to keep real turf down on these high school fields because of the watering, because of the bugs, because of all the things you have to do to maintain it. They found it more cost effective to put in the carpet. What does that tell you? This is all about expense or lack thereof.
No question. Always follow the money.
Follow the money, and the billions and billions of dollars that the NFL takes in, its players union not smart enough, to really insist on things that can extend careers. I mean, I don't, injuries aside, and there's tons of them, right? I wouldn't want to play on that stuff because of the rug burns and the staff and the things that these guys get. And you slide on that, you're taking up a chunk of skin. You see these guys with these, preventative, like long kind of bandages or whatever on their arms and their legs and stuff. It's just nasty. So, yeah, I'm not sure why they do it. I mean, there have been places that it's had grass and it turns into like painted dirt, like in Chicago for years. I don't know that that's really good turf, but they should just make them, replace the sod, whatever it costs, man. You guys got billions and billions of dollars, so it's going to be up to the union, and they won't fight it. They just won't. The next thing is going to happen, and Roger Goodell said this the other day. I don't know if we talked about it, maybe we did. That they're in a few years, every team's going to have an international game every year.
Oh yeah, they're going to 16 international games a year.
Mm-hmm. Which is crazy, but that will be when they have 18 games and 2 bye weeks. And those teams that play international will have a bye week right after. And that's what I think about that. That's where we're going to go to Asia. I've heard the Bucs may be in Rio next year, which would be a great trip, but I don't know that it would send me anyway. I'm happy to go to Seattle, to be honest with you. So I'm not hanging in for that. But, yeah, international is here to stay. And I believe in time, I don't know how much time, I believe in time you'll see a Super Bowl abroad.
I think you will. I know the NFL's kind of put the slow roll on London, which has been talked about, and the biggest problem is the time difference.
True.
If they're gonna play it at 6:30,
6:30 would be like
that's like 11:30 London.
Yeah, it's really late. Yeah, that's true.
So are they willing to move it up?
You have it in the afternoon. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Are they willing to move it up time wise?
Right.
That's
right.
They're not there. They're not there yet.
No.
It's coming, but I don't know. It's not imminent.
Right. Yeah. Follow the money, like you always say. I mean, that's what's going to decide it. Hey, folks, I want you to get on down to Breitling Boutique. That's in International Plaza Mall. Now, you know where that is. It's the best mall in Tampa, Florida, over there by the airport, not too far away from One Buck Place and Raymond James Stadium. Go to the center of that beautiful mall, upstairs, second floor. That's where you're going to find the Breitling Boutique. The Breitling Company has been in business making Swiss watches now for over 140 years. They've been in International Plaza for the last 5. Now, they got men's watches known for the chronomats, the Navitimers. These are beautiful timepieces that everybody should own. And they have women's watches as well for your wife, for your girlfriends. These are sports watches. They're very durable. They're absolutely gorgeous. And she can choose from just a tremendous array of colored wristbands. It's Breitling Boutique. Now, what they've been doing for the last, I don't know, year or so is offering NFL team watches. Now, this is to commemorate the 104th anniversary of the National Football League. There are 32 teams. There are 32 team watches. These watches are design chronomat watches to have the face, the color of the team colors, the logo. When I was at the mall a few weeks ago, they still had the Bucs watch, and I believe the Jaguars watch was in the window. You have to see these. You can go to tampabay.com and probably check out one of the beautiful Bucs watches there. It is Breitling Boutique. They've been our sponsors for a while. Customer service is second to none. Spend some time, go in there, have a drink, and find out what kind of timepiece you want for your generational watch. It is Breitling Boutique, International Plaza Mall, and make sure you let them know you heard about it right here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. I wanted to discuss this just for a second. You know, Liam Cohen has the Jaguars at 3-1. So good start by the former Bucs offensive coordinator and Trevor Lawrence and the guys. Their defense has really been something they've ridden. I think the defense has they've created 9 turnovers already. They may lead the NFL. So that's sort of, you win that battle, you're going to win a lot of games. But they went out all the way to San Francisco. I can tell you that is not an easy place to win. Levi Stadium is very loud. Brock Purdy was back. They got Christian McCaffrey, obviously. They have some players down, but again, Jacksonville, kind of took it to them. And after the game, I don't know if you've seen this, Steve, like there's this encounter between Liam Cohen and Robert Saleh. And the reason is that early in the week, Saleh had said that the Jaguars do a good job of, quote, legally stealing signals, defensive signals, okay, whatever that means. And I think he was trying to pay him a compliment in some bizarre way while also saying they steal signals, which never sounds good. But after the game, and the Jaguars won, keep in mind, Cohen's kind of walking past Saleh, who's looking for him, I believe. And then he wheels around and he confronts him and he says, "Keep my name out of your blanket mouth." He says it 2 or 3 times. And
What is he, Will Smith? What is he, Will Smith?
Yeah. And then Saleh erupts and he goes completely nuclear. He starts saying, "You don't know who you're blanking with. I will blank you up. I will kill you," or something. The words I was like, what? Wait, hey, what? And then I got to thinking about it. And okay, there were 2 main candidates for the Jaguars job. You know who they were? Liam Cohen and Robert Saleh. One got the job and the other one did not, clearly. And then Cohen just did number on the 49ers. So to the victor goes the spoils, but at some point they will both be head coaches in this league again, I think. And the one thing about Cohen, man, and I spotted this really early on, and maybe it's his New England roots, but dude has some swag and he don't care. Like he is very confident to the point of arrogance, to the point of almost overbearing at times. But like that's really helped that Jacksonville team. Like that's helped Trevor Lawrence, and he's that way all the time. You know what I mean? I met his friends, I met his college teammates. Like that's just who kind of Liam is. He was a quarterback, and grew up in New England, big Tom Brady fan and all that. But he did a hell of a job here. I mean, really a hell of a job. And just in one season. And now pretty good quick impact in no time at all to go 3-1 with the Jaguars. And oh, by the way, next Monday night, it's the Jaguars against the Kansas City Chiefs, which is suddenly a good game. And Kansas City coming to Jacksonville.
It's a huge game. And, when ESPN picked that game, did you expect Jacksonville to be this good?
No.
And Kansas City to only be 2-2 at this point.
No, although Kansas City with some receivers back, Mahomes was great. He's throwing the ball down the field. All of a sudden, he looks like a real quarterback again. So this will be a great matchup because, the Chiefs are looking like the Chiefs, and the Jaguars got a ton of momentum right now. I hear the stadium's going to be sold out, which is rarely the case. I'm sure there'll be plenty of Chiefs fans there, but yeah, Trevor Lawrence finding his swag. I told Neil Ardman, who's my co-host on the radio show on ESPN Tampa Bay, shameless plug, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. every morning, that he's kind of been down on Trevor Lawrence. He lives in Jacksonville. Trevor. And I was like, just wait. I saw what he did for Baker Mayfield. Now, Baker had Dave Canales the year before, and Baker calls Canales, the optimist bully. But I'm telling you, as play callers go, there's no comparison. Dave, nice guy, perfect building up Baker's confidence, but not the play caller that Liam is. Liam gives them plenty of ammunition, plenty of ways to change the play, get into a good one. Very quarterback, oriented, friendly type system that has answers, which is what you want as a quarterback. You want answers for what you're seeing on defense. And Trevor Lawrence is smart enough and talented enough to take advantage of that. And so right now, I think Travis Hunter had a good game. I think he made some spectacular catches. So, yeah, Liam Cohen. Wouldn't that be something like if they jumped out and won the division and he's coach of the year or something like that?
It'd be crazy.
Right? I mean, it was, and they knew he was, and unfortunately he, first took the extension as the offensive coordinator and then decided that he wanted to take the bite of the apple as a head coach. And I don't think anyone ultimately blamed him. It was just the way he handled it was bad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the weird guy that kind of quirky, he's very quirky, Duval and all that stuff. He's got their attention in Jacksonville, man. Those players are going to play hard for him. And it always helps when your coaches help you win. Give me something that will help me play well. And if you do that, then everybody loves you. So, yeah, it's off to a 3-1 start. Good for him. All right, we'll find out from the Bucs today. Maybe some of the injury situations. Hopefully, none of these guys have to go on IR. But generally, we get updates a little bit on Tuesday, or at least you'll see some national updates. And then whether or not they sign a punter will depend on how the workout goes. My guess is you can't fire everybody. You're not going to fire the special teams coach. You're probably going to fire the punter. So I would expect that Riley Dixon will be out of here. But we'll see how that all shakes down tomorrow. Get your mailbag questions in anytime you want to at SportsDayTV. Reach me at NFL Stroud. Email address rstroud@tampabay.com. Go see our friends at Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. They are great sponsors, and find a great Swiss timepiece for you or your wife. It's Breitling Boutique. Let them know you heard about it right here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. For Steve Versnick, I am Rick Stroud of the Tampa Bay Times. I apologize for my voice. Have a great day, everybody.